Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Learn English Daily. I'm Sarah. If this is your first time here, I'm so happy you're joining me. Together, we'll improve our English one conversation at a time. So, are you ready? Let's begin.
I opened my eyes slowly. For a second, I forgot where I was. Then I looked around the room. The white walls, the small desk, the window, the suitcase beside the bed. I smiled. Oh, I'm really here. Today was my first morning in a new country, and it felt exciting. I stretched my arms, walked to the window, and opened the curtains. Bright sunlight filled the room. People were already outside. Some were walking to work. Others were riding bicycles. A woman was walking her dog. A delivery truck stopped across the street. The city was already awake. I checked my phone. I had plenty of time. My English course didn't start until tomorrow. Today, I wanted to explore. But first, I was hungry. I remembered what the receptionist told me yesterday. Breakfast. From 7 until 10? Perfect. I took a quick shower, changed my clothes, brushed my hair, packed my phone, my wallet, my room key, and my notebook. I looked around the room. Do I have everything? Phone, wallet, room key, notebook. Yes, everything was ready. Before leaving, I looked at myself in the mirror. I still felt a little nervous, but not as nervous as yesterday. Little by little, I was becoming more confident. Maybe that's how confidence grows. One small step at a time. I opened the door, locked my room, and walked toward the elevator. The hallway was quiet. Almost everyone was probably having breakfast. Or maybe they were already out exploring the city. The elevator arrived. The doors opened. Inside, there was a young woman. She smiled. Good morning. Good morning. What floor? The lobby, please. Me too. She pressed the button. For a few seconds, we stood quietly. Then she looked at me. Are you here on vacation? I smiled. Not exactly. I'm here to study English. Oh, that's exciting. Where are you from? I'm from Italy. What about you? I'm from Canada. My name is Emma. I'm Sarah. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you too. You speak English very well. Thank you. I'm still learning. She smiled. Everyone is. That made me laugh. I guess you're right. The elevator stopped. The lobby was busy this morning. People were coming and going. Someone was checking out. Another family was checking in. Emma looked toward the restaurant. Are you having breakfast? Yes. I was just going there. Would you like to join me? For a moment, I hesitated. Yesterday, I didn't know anyone. Today, someone was inviting me to breakfast. Sure? I'd love to. Great. We walked together toward the restaurant. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air. I could also smell warm bread. And something sweet. Maybe pancakes or muffins. Suddenly, I felt even hungrier. A hostess welcomed us with a smile. Good morning. Good morning. Table for two? Yes, please. This way. We followed her. She showed us a table near the window. The morning sunlight made the whole room feel warm and comfortable. As we sat down, I looked around. Some people were reading newspapers. Others were talking quietly. A little boy was trying to pour orange juice by himself. His father smiled and helped him. It reminded me of breakfasts with my family back home. For just a second, I missed them. Emma noticed. Everything okay? Yes. I was just thinking about my family. I understand. I miss mine too. When did you arrive? Yesterday. You? 2 days ago. So you're already an expert. She laughed. Not even close. I'm still getting lost. That made both of us laugh. Sometimes, meeting the right person at the right moment can make a new city feel much smaller. A waiter walked over with a friendly smile. Good morning. My name is David. I'll be taking care of you today. What would you like to drink? Emma looked at me. You go first? I smiled. I'd like a cup of coffee, please. And a glass of orange juice. Certainly. And for you? I'll have tea. And orange juice, too. Excellent. I'll be right back. As he walked away, Emma smiled. So, what made you choose this city? I looked out the window for a moment. Then I smiled. I've dreamed about coming here for a long time. And now, I'm finally here. I still couldn't believe it. Yesterday, everything was new. Today, it already felt a little more familiar. And somehow, I had a feeling this was going to be a very good day. The waiter returned a few minutes later. He placed our drinks on the table. 1 coffee, 1 tea, 2 orange juices. Thank you. You're welcome. He handed each of us a menu. Take your time. I'll be back in a few minutes. I opened the menu. There were so many choices. Eggs, toast, pancakes, waffles, fruit, yogurt, cereal, oatmeal, bagels, breakfast sandwiches. I looked at Emma. What do you usually eat for breakfast? She smiled. It depends. Sometimes I eat something healthy. And sometimes I choose pancakes. I laughed. So, what are you choosing today? She looked at the menu for another second. Pancakes? Definitely pancakes. I had a feeling. She laughed. What about you? I wasn't sure. Everything looked delicious. I think I'll have scrambled eggs with toast and maybe some fruit. That sounds good. The waiter came back. Are you ready to order? Yes. Emma looked at him first. I'd like the pancakes, please. With maple syrup and fresh strawberries. Of course. He wrote it down. Then he looked at me. And for you? I'd like the scrambled eggs with toast. And a fruit bowl, please. Excellent choice. Would you like butter or jam with your toast? I paused for a second. I knew the word butter, but I wasn't sure about jam. Emma noticed my expression. She smiled. Jam is made from fruit? Oh, like strawberry jam? Exactly. I looked back at the waiter. Then, both, please. He smiled. Great choice. I'll bring your breakfast soon. As he walked away, I looked at Emma. Thanks. For what? For helping me? It happens to everyone. There are still words I don't know. Really? Of course. English has thousands of words. No one knows them all. That made me feel better. A few moments later, I took out my notebook. Emma looked curious. You carry that everywhere? I do. I like writing down new words. What did you learn yesterday? I opened the notebook. The first page was already full. Passport, immigration, reservation, room key, lobby, you two. Emma smiled. That's a great list. I like learning expressions. They're easier to remember. What about you? She thought for a moment. When I travel, I always learn 3 words first. Which ones? Hello? Thank you. And, excuse me? Why those? Because kindness opens more doors than perfect grammar. I smiled. I like that. I think you're right. Just then, we heard a small crash. Clink. Everyone looked toward the other side of the restaurant. A young man stood beside his table. He looked embarrassed. Oh no! His glass of orange juice had tipped over. Juice covered the table. It was dripping onto the floor. For 1 second, the whole restaurant became quiet. Then the waiter hurried over. No worries. It happens. I'll take care of it. Another employee brought a towel. Within a minute, everything was clean again. The young man smiled with relief. I'm so sorry. It's completely fine. The waiter smiled. Accidents happen. When they walked away, Emma looked at me. That's one expression you'll hear a lot. Accidents happen. It means, don't worry. Sometimes mistakes are part of life. I nodded. I like that expression. So do I. A few minutes later, our breakfast arrived. The waiter carefully placed the plates on the table. The pancakes looked amazing. They were tall, golden brown, covered with fresh strawberries. The maple syrup sparkled in the morning light. My breakfast looked just as delicious. Soft scrambled eggs, warm toast, a colorful bowl of fresh fruit. Everything smelled wonderful. Emma picked up her fork. Ready? I smiled. More than ready. We both laughed. I took my first bite. This is really good. Emma nodded. I told you. The breakfasts here are fantastic. For a few minutes, we simply enjoyed our food. Sometimes, you don't need to talk all the time. Comfortable silence can also be part of a good conversation. For a little while, we simply enjoyed our breakfast. The restaurant was filled with quiet conversations, the sound of coffee cups, the smell of fresh bread, soft music in the background. It felt peaceful. Emma took another bite of her pancakes. Then she looked at me. So, what do you do in Italy? I used to work in a small design studio. I loved my job, but I always wanted to improve my English. So, here I am. She smiled. That took courage. Maybe. But it also took a lot of planning. I saved money for almost 2 years. Wow, that's impressive. What about you? I'm a photographer. I travel a lot for work. So I wanted to become more confident speaking English. It makes traveling much easier. I can imagine. She nodded. English isn't perfect everywhere, but it's amazing how many people can communicate with it. I thought about that. Back home, I was always afraid of making mistakes. Here, everyone seemed more relaxed. People spoke slowly. They smiled. They listened. Maybe I didn't need perfect English. Maybe I just needed the courage to speak. The waiter walked by. Is everything okay? Everything is wonderful. The food is delicious. I'm glad to hear that. He smiled. If you need anything, just let me know. Thank you. A few minutes later, I finished my breakfast. Emma was almost done too. She looked out the window. What are your plans today? I don't really have any. I just want to explore. I'd like to walk around. Maybe visit a café? Maybe find a bookstore. Her eyes lit up. A bookstore. You like reading? I do. I especially like books for language learners. She laughed. I know the perfect place. Really? It's only about 10 minutes from here. They have books, travel guides, maps, and even English books for beginners. That sounds perfect. You should come with me. For a moment, I wasn't sure. I had planned to explore by myself, but meeting new people was one of the reasons I came here. I'd love to. Great. We can leave after breakfast. Just then, I remembered something. Oh, I almost forgot. What is it? I need to buy a notebook. Emma laughed. I think you already have one. I smiled. I know, but it's almost full. She looked surprised. Already? I like writing. I write every new word, every useful expression. And sometimes, I write about my day. I think that's a great habit. It helps me remember. I should start doing that too. I smiled. Maybe we both will. The waiter returned with the bill. Whenever you're ready, Emma reached for it. I'll get this. I quickly shook my head. No. We can split it. Are you sure? Of course. It's only fair. He nodded. No problem. I'll split the bill. A few moments later, we each paid for our breakfast. As we stood up, I looked around the restaurant one last time. When I came downstairs this morning, I didn't know anyone. Now, I was leaving with a new friend. Life can change faster than we expect. We walked toward the hotel lobby together. The receptionist smiled. Good morning. Heading out? Yes. We're going to explore the city. Have fun. Thank you. Outside, the morning air felt fresh. The streets were busier than before. People were carrying coffee. Cyclists rode past us. A bus stopped nearby. Someone was playing music on a guitar. The city felt alive. Emma unfolded a small paper map. I know. Most people use their phones, but I still like paper maps. I laughed. My father is exactly the same. He says, a map never runs out of battery. Emma laughed. I like your father already. We started walking. Neither of us knew it yet. But before this morning was over, something unexpected was about to happen. We walked side by side. The sidewalks were wide. Trees lined the street. The morning sun felt warm, but not too hot. People smiled as they passed us. Some were walking to work. Others were enjoying their morning coffee outside small cafes. The city felt friendly. As we reached the next corner, the traffic light turned red. We stopped and waited. A man stood beside us with a little girl. She was holding a bright red balloon. She looked up at her father. Daddy, can we get ice cream later? He smiled. If you're good today, yes. She grinned from ear to ear. Emma smiled. She reminds me of my little niece. Do you have brothers or sisters? I have one older brother. And you? I have a younger sister. She still thinks I'm her second mother. We both laughed. The light turned green. We crossed the street. After a few more minutes, we reached a small city square. There were flowers everywhere. A fountain stood in the middle. Water sparkled under the sunlight. People sat on benches. Some were reading. Some were talking. Others were simply enjoying the beautiful morning. It's lovely here. It really is. Emma pointed across the square. There's the bookstore. I looked where she was pointing. It wasn't a huge store, but it looked cozy. Large windows, wooden shelves, colorful books displayed in the front window. A small sign hung above the entrance. I smiled. I already love this place. Just before we reached the door, we heard a voice behind us. Excuse me. We both turned around. An elderly woman stood there. She looked a little worried. Could you help me, please? Of course. She unfolded a small piece of paper. I'm looking for this museum, but I think I'm lost. Emma looked at the address. Then she looked at me. I think it's about 5 minutes from here. I remembered seeing the museum on the map in the hotel lobby. I smiled at the woman. I think we can help. She looked relieved. Oh, thank you. Emma pointed down the street. You'll walk straight. Then turn left at the second traffic light. The museum will be on your right. The woman listened carefully. Then she looked uncertain. I'm afraid I'll forget. I smiled. We're actually walking that way. We can take you there. Really? That would be wonderful. So, instead of going straight to the bookstore, we walked with her. She introduced herself. My name is Margaret. I'm visiting from Australia. I'm Sarah. And this is Emma. It's so nice to meet you both. As we walked, Margaret looked around with a smile. I've wanted to visit this city for years. It's beautiful. It really is. A few minutes later, we reached the museum. Margaret stopped walking. Her face lit up. There it is. I can't believe I almost walked the other way. She turned to us. Thank you. You've been so kind. It was our pleasure. She smiled warmly. People always remember kindness, even small acts. Then she reached into her bag. I bought these cookies this morning. Please, take one. Emma smiled politely. That's very kind. But you don't have to. I insist. Margaret laughed. I can't eat the whole box by myself. We each took one cookie. Thank you. You're very welcome. She waved goodbye. Enjoy your day. You too. We watched her walk toward the museum entrance. Then Emma looked at me. You know, we never planned to come here. No. But I'm glad we did. So am I. As we turned back toward the bookstore, I realized something. Learning English was helping me do much more than speak. It was helping me connect with people. And somehow, that felt even more important. We walked back toward the bookstore. This time, nothing distracted us. The little shop looked even more inviting. Emma opened the door. A small bell rang. The smell of new books filled the air. I smiled without even thinking. I love that smell. Emma laughed. I was about to say the same thing. The bookstore wasn't very big, but it was full of character. Wooden shelves reached almost to the ceiling. There were comfortable chairs in one corner. A young woman was quietly reading by the window. Soft piano music played in the background. No one was in a hurry. A man behind the counter looked up and smiled. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning. Emma smiled. We're looking for English books, especially for beginners. You're in the right place. He stepped out from behind the counter. My name is Daniel. I'm Sarah. And this is Emma. It's nice to meet you both. Likewise. Daniel led us to a section near the back of the store. A small sign read, English Language Learning. There were dozens of books. Some were for grammar. Some focused on vocabulary. Others were storybooks. One shelf immediately caught my attention. Learn English through stories. I smiled. These look interesting. Daniel nodded. They're very popular. Stories help people remember words. I think so too. When I read a story, I remember the conversation, not just the vocabulary. Exactly. Emma picked up a book. This one looks good. It has short chapters and everyday conversations. I looked through a few pages. The English felt natural, easy to understand. Just challenging enough. I'll take this one. Daniel smiled. Good choice. Then I noticed something beside the books. A small basket. Inside, there were colorful notebooks. Simple, beautiful. Exactly what I needed. I almost forgot. I came here for a notebook. Emma laughed. I remembered. I picked up a dark blue notebook. The cover simply said, New Ideas. I like this one. It suits you. Why? You write about everything. New ideas need a new notebook. I smiled. You're probably right. While I was looking around, Emma walked toward another shelf. A minute later, she came back holding something. This made me think of you. She handed me a small bookmark. It was white, with tiny blue flowers. Across the middle, it said, Every expert was once a beginner. I read it twice. Then I smiled. I love it. It reminds me why I'm here. Emma nodded. Exactly. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. For a second, I became very quiet. Yesterday, I was afraid to speak. Today, I had breakfast with someone new, helped a stranger, bought my first English storybook, and now I was holding a bookmark. That felt like it had been written just for me. Daniel walked back toward us. Did you find everything? Yes. I'll take the storybook, the notebook, and I looked at Emma. The bookmark, too. Daniel smiled. Excellent choices. As he scanned the items, he asked, So, where are you from? I'm from Italy. And what brings you here? I'm studying English. That's wonderful. I meet people from all over the world. But they all have one thing in common. Oh? They're brave enough to start. Those words stayed with me. Sometimes, the simplest sentences are the ones we remember the longest. Daniel placed everything into a paper bag. Here you are. Thank you. Enjoy your new book. I will. As we walked toward the door, I looked at the bag in my hand. It wasn't heavy, but somehow, it felt like I was carrying much more than books. I was carrying new words, new memories, and a little more confidence than I had yesterday. Outside, the city was brighter than ever. Emma looked at the time. It's almost noon. Are you getting hungry again? I laughed. We just had breakfast. I know. But walking always makes me hungry. I know a small cafe nearby. They make amazing sandwiches. I smiled. I think that sounds like a perfect idea. We started walking again. Neither of us knew that lunch would introduce us to someone who would become an important part of the story. We continued walking. The bookstore was behind us now. The paper bag swung gently in my hand. Inside, my new storybook, my notebook, and my new bookmark. I smiled. It felt like a good morning already. Emma walked beside me. So, how are you feeling? I thought about the question. Yesterday, I would have answered, nervous. Today, my answer was different. I feel more comfortable? She smiled. I can tell. Really? Yes. Yesterday, you probably spent a lot of time thinking before speaking. And today, you're just speaking. I laughed. I didn't even notice. That's a good sign. We turned onto a quieter street. Small cafes lined both sides. People sat outside. Some were reading. Others were talking with friends. Someone was working on a laptop. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Emma pointed across the street. There. That's my favorite cafe. The sign above the door read, Sunny Corner Caf. It looks nice. It is. They make the best sandwiches. And the owner is very friendly. We walked inside. A small bell rang above the door. Welcome. A cheerful voice greeted us. Behind the counter stood a woman in her 40s. She smiled warmly. Good afternoon. Hi, Maria. Emma waved. Hello, Emma. It's nice to see you again. Maria looked at me. And who's your friend? This is Sarah. She's from Italy. She's here to study English. Maria's face lit up. Oh, welcome. It's lovely to meet you. It's lovely to meet you too. I hope you're enjoying our city. I really am. I'm happy to hear that. She handed us 2 menus. Sit wherever you like. I'll be with you in a minute. We chose a small table near the window. The cafe felt cozy. Fresh flowers stood on every table. Soft jazz music played quietly. People smiled as they talked. No one seemed to be in a hurry. I looked around. This place feels peaceful. Emma nodded. That's why I like coming here. You can relax. You can read. Or simply watch people. A young man sat alone near the window. He was reading a travel magazine. An elderly couple shared a slice of cake. 2 university students were laughing over something on a phone. Every table seemed to have its own little story. Maria came over with a notepad. Have you decided? Emma smiled. I'll have the chicken sandwich. And an iced coffee. Maria looked at me. And you? I glanced at the menu. Everything sounded delicious. I think I'll have the grilled cheese sandwich. And she smiled patiently. Take your time. I laughed. I can't decide. Tea or lemonade? Maria smiled. Why not try our homemade lemonade? It's very popular. Emma nodded. You should. It's really good. Then, I'll have the lemonade. Excellent choice. I'll be right back. As Maria walked away, I looked at Emma. I like her. So do I. She's one of the friendliest people I've ever met. Just then, the young man at the next table stood up. As he reached for his backpack, a book slipped onto the floor. Without thinking, I picked it up. Here you go. Oh, thank you so much. You're welcome. He smiled. I appreciate it. He looked at the paper bag beside my chair. You've been to the bookstore? Yes. I just came from there. So did I. He held up the book he was carrying. I couldn't leave without buying one. We both laughed. It happens. He smiled. My name is Lucas. I'm Sarah. And this is Emma. It's nice to meet you both. You too. Lucas pointed to the empty chair at our table. Would you mind if I joined you for a few minutes? Emma looked at me. I smiled. Not at all. Please. He pulled out the chair, sat down, and with one simple question, our afternoon was about to become much more interesting. So, what brings both of you here? Lucas smiled as he waited for an answer. Emma looked at me. I think you should tell him. I laughed. Why me? Because it's your story. I nodded. Fair enough? I looked at Lucas. I arrived yesterday. I'm from Italy. I'm here to study English. He smiled. That's exciting. What made you decide to do that? I thought for a moment. Then I answered honestly. For a long time, I was afraid to speak English. I understood a lot. But every time I wanted to speak, I worried about making mistakes. So I decided the only way to improve was to use English every day. Lucas nodded slowly. I know exactly what you mean. You do? Yes. I'm from Brazil. When I first arrived here, I felt exactly the same. You did? Absolutely. I knew the words. But speaking, that was the difficult part. Emma smiled. I think we've all been there. Lucas laughed. My first week was unforgettable. Oh, what happened? I went into a bakery. I wanted to buy bread. Simple, right? I smiled. Sounds easy? I wanted to say, I'd like a loaf of bread, please. But I was so nervous. I forgot the word. Bread? Emma laughed. So what did you say? Lucas covered his face with one hand and laughed. I said, I'd like one. Cooked sandwich. Without the sandwich? Emma burst into laughter. I couldn't stop laughing either. What did the baker do? He looked confused. Then he smiled. And he asked, Do you mean bread? Yes. That's exactly what I meant. Lucas laughed again. I was so embarrassed. But the baker didn't laugh at me. He helped me. And that's when I realized something. What? Most people want to help? They're not waiting for you to make a mistake. They're waiting to understand you. For a moment, none of us spoke. I thought about yesterday, at immigration, at the hotel, at breakfast, at the bookstore. Everyone had been patient. Everyone had been kind. Maybe I had been worrying too much. Maria returned with our drinks. One iced coffee, one homemade lemonade, and she smiled at Lucas. The usual, "You know me too well." She laughed. "I'll bring it in just a minute." Lucas smiled. She remembers everyone's favorite order. Really? Emma nodded. That's one reason people love this cafe. Maria came back with the sandwiches. Everything looked fresh. The bread was warm. The vegetables were colorful. The lemonade looked cold and refreshing. It smells amazing. Lucas picked up his sandwich. So, when do your English classes start? Tomorrow morning? Are you excited? I am. But a little nervous too. He smiled. That's normal. My advice? I looked at him. Speak, even when you're unsure. Even when you make mistakes. The more you speak, the easier it becomes. Emma pointed at my paper bag. She's already off to a good start. Lucas looked curious. She bought an English storybook. She carries a notebook. And she writes new words every day. Lucas smiled. I like that. Can I give you one more idea? Of course. At the end of every day, write 3 sentences. Only 3. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be true. I repeated the idea quietly. 3 sentences. Exactly. Today, I met a new friend. I tried something new. I learned a new word. Simple, but powerful. I smiled. I think I'll start tonight.
Are you ready? Let's
Lucas
begin.
raised his glass. 2 new beginnings. Emma lifted her iced coffee. 2 new friendships. I lifted my lemonade. And 2, speaking English. 1 conversation at a time. Our glasses touched gently. For such a small moment, it felt surprisingly meaningful. Outside the cafe window, the city continued moving. People hurried by. Buses came and went. The afternoon sun shone brightly. Inside, 3 people from 3 different countries were sharing lunch, using 1 language to understand each other. And somehow, that felt like the beginning of something much bigger than any of us expected. For the next few minutes, we enjoyed our lunch. The conversation flowed naturally. No one was trying to impress anyone. We were simply talking, sharing stories, and enjoying the afternoon. Lucas looked at me. So, have you explored much of the city yet? Not really. I've only seen the airport. My hotel? The bookstore. And now this cafe. He smiled. Then you've only seen a tiny part of it. There's so much more. Emma nodded. He's right. There are beautiful parks, interesting museums, a river walk, and a weekend market. A weekend market? I asked. Yes, it's one of my favorite places. Lucas smiled. You can hear different languages everywhere. You'll meet artists, musicians, street performers, and people from all over the world. It sounds amazing. It is. You should come with us this Saturday. I look surprised. Really? Of course. The more the merrier. I smiled. I'd love that. Just then, Maria walked over. How is everything? The sandwiches are delicious. I'm glad to hear that. She looked at Lucas. I almost forgot. A package arrived for you this morning. Lucas looked surprised. For me? Yes. I put it behind the counter. I'll bring it. A minute later, she returned with a small brown package. Lucas looked at the label. I know what this is. He carefully opened it. Inside, there was a brand new camera lens. His eyes became wide. It finally arrived. Emma smiled. You've been waiting for that for weeks. I have. I ordered it almost a month ago. He held it carefully. It was worth the wait. I looked at the lens. It looks expensive. Lucas laughed. It is. So I need to be extra careful. He placed it back in the box. Then he looked at us. Would you like to see something? Sure. He reached into his backpack. This time, he took out his camera. It looked professional. He attached the new lens. Then he stood up. Stay exactly where you are. Emma laughed. Why? I want to take your picture. Oh no. I laughed. I just started eating again. Perfect. Natural photos are always the best. He stepped back. Smile. Click. He looked at the screen. Beautiful. Emma stood up. My turn. She walked over to the window. The sunlight fell gently across the table. Lucas took another picture. Click. Then he looked at me. Come here. I stood beside Emma. Ready? I think so. Click. 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 He lowered the camera. These are great. I walked over to look. The photos didn't look posed. They looked real. Two new friends, sharing lunch, laughing, enjoying the moment. I smiled. I've never liked photos of myself. Lucas looked at me. Most people don't. They're too busy looking for flaws. But photographs aren't about perfection. They're about memories. I looked at the picture again. He was right. When I looked at it, I didn't notice my hair or my clothes. I remembered how happy I felt. Maybe that's what a good photograph does. It captures a feeling. not just a face. Lucas carefully packed away his camera. I have an idea. Emma smiled. That's usually dangerous. He laughed. No. I think you'll like this one. Tomorrow evening, there's a free photography exhibition. It's only a few blocks from your hotel. There will also be people from the local language school. I looked interested. My language school? I think so. They often organize small social events. Emma smiled. That's perfect. You'll meet other students before classes even begin. I felt a little nervous again. Meeting one new person was easy. Meeting 20? That sounded different. Lucas noticed. Nervous? A little. He smiled kindly. Good. I looked confused. Good? If something makes you a little nervous, it usually means you're growing. Those words stayed with me. Growing. Sometimes it begins with a single conversation. Sometimes it begins with saying, Good morning, or My name is Sarah, or even, I'd like a cup of coffee, please. Small sentences, small moments, but together, they slowly build a new life. And without realizing it, I was already building mine. We stayed at the café a little longer. No one seemed to be in a hurry. Outside, the afternoon passed quietly. Inside, our conversation continued. Lucas took a sip of his coffee. Then he smiled. Can I ask you something? Of course. When you decided to come here, what was the hardest part? I didn't answer right away. There were so many possible answers. Leaving my family, saving money, packing my suitcase, traveling alone. But none of those felt like the real answer. I looked out the window for a moment. Then I said, the hardest part was buying the plane ticket. Emma looked surprised. Really? I nodded. Before I bought it, it was only a dream. But after I clicked, book now, everything became real. There was no turning back. Lucas smiled. I understand. Sometimes, the smallest click changes your whole life. We sat quietly for a moment. Not because the conversation had ended, because we were all thinking. A few seconds later, Emma broke the silence. I almost didn't come here either. You didn't? She shook her head. The night before my flight, I almost canceled everything. Why? I was scared. What if my English wasn't good enough? What if I couldn't make friends? What if I felt lonely? I looked at her. Those were exactly my thoughts. She smiled. I think every language learner has them. Lucas nodded. And then you arrive. You meet people. You realize you're not the only one. That sentence made me smile. No, I wasn't the only one. Maria walked past our table, carrying a tray. She noticed our empty glasses. Would anyone like a refill? Emma looked at me. What do you think? I smiled. I'd love another lemonade. Me too, Emma said. Lucas raised his empty coffee cup. And another coffee for me, please. You got it? A few minutes later, Maria returned. She placed the drinks on the table. Then she surprised us. There you go. And she placed a small plate in the middle. 3 warm chocolate cookies. These are on the house. Emma smiled. Really? Maria nodded. You've been filling my cafe with laughter. I think that deserves cookies. We all laughed. Thank you. You're very welcome. As soon as Maria walked away, Lucas picked up one cookie. I have a rule, Emma asked. Never say no to free cookies. We laughed again. I like that rule. So do I. The cookies were still warm. The chocolate melted with every bite. They're delicious. I told you, Emma said. Everything here is good. As we talked, I noticed something. I wasn't translating every sentence anymore. Yesterday, I listened carefully to every single word. Today, I was listening to ideas, not just vocabulary. It happened so naturally. I almost didn't notice. Lucas looked at me. You're smiling. I am? Yes. What are you thinking about? I smiled even more. I just realized something. What? I'm starting to understand English. Without translating every sentence. Emma's eyes lit up. That's a huge step. It really is. Lucas nodded. One day, you'll suddenly realize you're thinking in English too. I laughed. That sounds impossible. He smiled. So did this? He pointed around the table. Yesterday, we didn't know each other. Today, we've been talking for hours. Life changes quickly. I looked around the cafe. Maria was helping another customer. The elderly couple were still sharing dessert. The students were packing their bags. The young man by the window had finished his book. Everything looked ordinary. But for me, this wasn't an ordinary afternoon. It was the first time. I truly believed I could do this. I could learn English. Not because I was studying harder, but because I was living it. Just then, my phone vibrated. I picked it up. A new email had arrived. The subject line read, Welcome to Riverside Language Center. My heart skipped a beat. Emma smiled. Is that? I nodded. My school. Lucas leaned forward. Open it. I took a deep breath, smiled, and tapped the screen. My hands felt a little shaky. I wasn't sure why. It was only an email, but somehow it felt important. I looked at Emma, then at Lucas. Go ahead, Lucas said. I smiled. Okay. I opened the email. At the very top, I read the first line aloud. Dear Sarah, Welcome to Riverside Language Center. I couldn't help smiling. I already like them. Emma laughed. Keep reading. I scrolled down. Your classes begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. Please arrive at least 30 minutes early. So, I need to be there by 8:30. Lucas nodded. That's a good idea. I kept reading. On your first day, you'll meet your teacher. You'll receive your class schedule. And you'll take a short placement activity. I looked up. A placement activity? Emma smiled. Don't worry. It's just to find the right class. It isn't a test you can fail. Exactly, Lucas added. They just want to know your level. I felt relieved. I continued reading. Please bring a notebook. I laughed. Well, I've got that. Emma smiled. What else? A pen. I have one. Your passport or another photo ID. I have my passport. And a positive attitude. Lucas laughed. I like that. So do I. I read the last line. We look forward to meeting you. See you tomorrow. I locked my phone. For a few seconds, none of us spoke. Then Emma smiled. So, tomorrow is the big day. It is. How do you feel? I thought carefully. Yesterday, I would have said, scared. Today, my answer was different. I'm excited. And yes, I'm still a little nervous. But now, it's the good kind of nervous. Lucas smiled. That's exactly how it should feel. He leaned back in his chair. Can I give you one last piece of advice? Please? When you walk into your classroom tomorrow, don't try to be perfect. Try to be curious. I looked at him. What do you mean? Ask questions. Smile. Talk to people. If you make a mistake, keep talking. Don't stop. Emma nodded. I agree. The students who improve the fastest aren't always the smartest. They're usually the ones who aren't afraid to speak. I quietly repeated the sentence. Don't be afraid to speak. Those words sounded familiar. Yesterday, Alex had told me the same thing. Now, Emma and Lucas were saying it too. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe that really was the secret. Maria came over one last time. I hope you enjoyed everything. We did. It was wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. She smiled at me. I have a feeling we'll be seeing you again. I think so too. We thanked her, picked up our bags, and walked toward the door. Before we stepped outside, Maria called after us. Sarah? I turned around. Yes. She smiled warmly. Good luck tomorrow. You'll do great. For a second, I couldn't find the right words. Then I simply smiled. Thank you. That means a lot. Outside, the afternoon sun was beginning to soften. The air felt cooler now. People continued walking along the sidewalks. The city no longer felt unfamiliar. Yesterday, every street was new. Today, some places already felt familiar. The hotel, the bookstore, sunny corner café. 3 places, 3 memories. 3 people who had already made this city feel a little more like home. Emma looked at her watch. I should head back. I have a video call with my family. Lucas nodded. And I have photos to edit. He smiled at me. But tomorrow evening, the photography exhibition. I'll be there. Emma looked at me. And I'll meet you after your first day of class. Deal? I smiled. Deal. We stood there for a moment. 3 people. 3 different countries. 3 different stories. But somehow, our paths had crossed. Lucas held out his hand. It was great meeting you, Sarah. I shook his hand. It was great meeting you too. Emma gave me a quick hug. You're going to do amazing tomorrow. Thanks. I hope so. You will? A few moments later, they walked in different directions. I watched them disappear into the crowd. Then I started walking back toward my hotel. Alone. But somehow, I didn't feel alone anymore. I had a notebook full of new words. A storybook waiting to be opened. A class waiting for me tomorrow. And, for the first time since leaving Italy, I felt like I belonged here. As I reached the hotel, I looked up at the building and smiled. Tomorrow! A new chapter would begin. Not just in my English journey, but in my life. And I couldn't wait to see what was waiting for me on the other side of that classroom door. End of episode 2. Next time, Sarah walks into her English school for the very first time. She meets her teacher, her classmates, and discovers that everyone has a different story. But the same goal, to speak English with confidence. See you in episode 3.